Long ago, in a land far away, there lived a prince in a castle. This prince wanted one thing above all. He wanted to marry a real princess. When he was old enough, his father gave him permission to travel all the land to find his real princess. But the prince did not find her. He did not find her in his neighbors' castles, nor in the palaces of his friends. He did not find her in the grand houses of the wealthy and important men of the region. After many weeks, he returned home, lonely and depressed. About a week after his return, a terrible storm broke. There was thunder and lightning. It was bitterly cold, and strong winds broke trees. Roads flooded. Roofs were blown off houses. It was terrible. On the second night of the terrible storm, the prince, the king and the queen were huddled in their sitting room. The guards were taking shelter in the guardhouse, and the other servants were hiding in their rooms for the night. The worried king held his wife's hand while the storm raged outside. The prince was staring into the flames of the fire, perhaps thinking about a real princess. Suddenly the queen sat upright. Did she hear someone calling? Listen, she told the king and the prince. There it is again. Very faintly, above the noise of the wind and the rain, they could hear a voice. Help! Please! Someone open the door! The king and the prince raced down the stairs. Who is there? They shouted through the thick wooden doors. Please, I am a stranded princess. I need shelter for the night. Together, the prince and his father pushed open the huge front doors of the castle. There, in the rain, on the window steps, on the wind-blown steps, stood a girl. Her hair was plastered to her head. The color of her dress could not be determined because it was so covered in mud. Her tiny feet were bare. She shivered from head to toe. She was all alone. Come in, my dear, said the kindly old king, and took her frozen hand, pulling her inside. The prince shut the doors behind them. A princess? This dishevelled creature? How could that be? Within an hour, the girl had been given a warm bath, a meal, and was sitting in front of the fire with the royal family. Everybody was curious to hear her story, but the poor girl was dead tired. Let's get you off to bed, said the queen. The queen had a plan. She had prepared a special bed. She took a dried pea from the kitchen and placed it on the base of the bed. Then she put 10 mattresses on top of the bed. On top of the mattresses, she placed 10 thick quilts. The girl had to use the longest ladder in the castle to get onto the bed. Good night, said the queen, and went to bed herself. The next morning, the queen went to wake the girl herself. 4 servants held onto the ladder while the girl climbed down from her lofty bed. Did you sleep well? asked the queen with a smile. Oh, not at all. I hardly slept a wink. I think there was a rock under the mattress. I am black and blue all over. The queen took the girl gently by the arm and led her to the prince. My son, this is your real princess. Only a true princess would have felt the pea I placed under the 10 mattresses and 10 thick quilts. The prince looked into the girl's beautiful eyes. The princess smiled shyly up at him. The king clapped his hands, and the queen smiled to herself while putting a small pea into the pocket of her skirt. Right. Good day. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to read the story to you. I would like you to do two things now. Just two. You can decide how you'd like to do it. You can write down what you want to discuss, or you can make a voice note and send it via WhatsApp. The number is in the screen. 083 226 0601. So, just a few things I'd like to know before we get to the two things I'd like you to discuss. Firstly, I would like to know, have you ever heard this story before? So, are you familiar with the story? Just that. If you've never heard it before, then I hope you found it intriguing and enjoying. It was one of my favorite stories growing up. It is a fairy tale from Hans Andersen. He also wrote The Ugly Duckling and many other children's stories. But they're actually not children's stories only. Everybody likes stories. So, now, what would I like you to do? I would like you to just think about two things. The first thing is, why did the queen think that a real princess would feel a pea under 10 mattresses and 10 quilts? Okay, so what the queen did there, she decided that the criteria, big word, criteria for knowing that somebody is a real princess is that they are very sensitive to touch. Okay, so do you think that if you had to find out whether somebody was a real princess, whatever that might be, that a very sensitive sense of touch would be a good criteria? So just think about that and tell me what you think. And then the second thing I'd like you to do, and it doesn't matter what order you do this in, you can do the first thing second and the second thing first. I would like you to just retell the story in your own words. You can give as much detail as you want, you can give as little detail as you want. In fact, pretend that you have a friend that you'd like to tell the story to. She doesn't have Wi-Fi, she doesn't have a cell phone, and you want to tell the story to her, and you don't have lots of time. You just have maybe 5 minutes. So do that for me, and like I said, you can do that in writing and send a WhatsApp note, or you can do it in notes and send the note as an attachment in WhatsApp, or you can make a voice note. And then from there on, I hope that we can have some fun with this story. It would be lovely to hear from you. Please send your replies. It would make me really happy. And then we can perhaps discuss a few more of Hans Christian Andersen's so-called fairy tales or children's stories, which I don't think they are at all. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Hope to see you back here very soon.